Welcome to the Success Pick and Mix podcast with me, Nicky Raby. I began this conversation of success and its complexities in 2018. And over 500 episodes later, it seems there is a lot to say. So we talk about personal branding, money, mindset, marketing, reinvention, visibility, and doing what you love, making it real and making it happen. Because success isn't a straight line. It isn't the same for everyone, and it's constantly changing as we do. Here you'll find mini episodes joining me behind the scenes, plus interviews with some of the most exciting voices out there. I can't wait to share this with you. So don't miss an episode. Subscribe, rate, review, all the things. Oh, and one final thing. This isn't really about me. This is about you. Today can be that day that you start, and I can't wait to hear what is next for you. Hello and welcome to a brand new episode. Today I am talking to Sara Tateno, who is the founder of Happity. Happity is an app which you may be familiar with if you're a parent. It's a really fantastic website where you can find baby and toddler classes and you can book them directly. And what's really fascinating in this episode, and we're not going to go into too much about parenting or anything like that, but what's fascinating for me is the way that she had this idea and she had that curiosity to learn something new, having never coded before, and then went on and built this amazing platform, one that is absolutely integral to so many parents' lives, mental health, getting out and about, mixing, communicating. And I think you'll be really inspired by this episode, and hopefully it will get the juices flowing and make you think, maybe what should I do next? Oh, I've got a bit of an idea. Maybe it's worth exploring. So as always, do follow the links down below in the description box and rate, review, subscribe. Let us know where you're listening, what you take away from this, and do share it with a pal as well. All right, that's it. Let's get into the episode. Sara, welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for being on.
Thank you. It's a complete pleasure to be here.
Oh, lovely. Thank you so much. So let's start with you. What do you do? What's your business? Where are you up to in July 2019 as we are now?
That's a big question, isn't it?
Could you just tell me your life plans, please?
My story. So I'm the founder of happity.co.uk, and it's a website helping parents to find and book baby and toddler classes. So it's really been built around connecting new parents at that sort of stage where it's really difficult to get out of the house, getting them out into the communities and meeting real people in real life.
Yeah.
And we support the class providers. They can use us to advertise their classes and get more promotion. But we also have a bespoke booking system. So they actually use it to take bookings for their classes as well.
Fantastic. And were you in technology before you became a mum? Is this something that you'd always wanted to do? How did it begin?
No. So no, I had no technical background whatsoever. And actually no particular intention of being an entrepreneur at the time I started this. I was actually made redundant from my job at the BBC, and I was about 7 months pregnant when it rolled round with my second child. And
great timing then.
I mean, it was all expected, and it was like I was okay with that. But yeah, I just basically had a bit of an identity crisis at that time and thought, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Because I think particularly when you work at somewhere like the BBC, it's an internationally recognised brand.
Yeah.
And I'd been at Radio 1, so I was kind of used to this being a huge part of my identity. So when the redundancy rolled round and it was time for me to go, and people were saying, oh great, you can put your feet up, you can be a full-time mum, all of these sorts of things, it just pushed me in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Basically. And I thought, well, no, I don't think I am going to be a full-time. I love being a mum and I love being around for my children, but I sort of felt that I had a lot more to offer.
Yes.
And so this idea had kind of been kicking around a little bit. I'd moved house. I had an older child. How old was she? I think she was 2.5 at the time, or just turned 2, I think. And we'd moved house and we didn't know what was on in the area, and I was finding it really difficult to find out what was on. And this was back in 2015, so it was quite a while ago now. But at that time, things like Mumsnet were not at all mobile friendly.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so you literally couldn't use that. You couldn't use that on your mobile phone. And I was just going, why has this problem not been solved? Why can't I just put my postcode in and pull up a list of what's going on in this area for preschoolers? This seems crazy. There were people putting together kind of WordPress sites with lists, just plain word lists of what was going on, but it wasn't smart. It wasn't something that you could like put in your requirements and get it to tell you just what was happening. So I had that kind of idea, and I guess, I've always had a bit of an entrepreneurial streak from when I was very young. I was looking back and going, oh, actually, I used to admire Richard Branson when I was a child. But somewhere along the way, a lot of that got lost. I used to have a lot of business ideas. When I was a teenager, I sold stickers with my friends at school, and but then somewhere along the way, I think I just lost confidence in myself and got into that, that grind of working in a day job, and I'd kind of lost that drive to start something new. So when the redundancy happened, I sort of reassessed things and was able to kind of go, no, that was my passion. I always wanted to start a business. I've got this great idea. It's not being done. It's a huge opportunity. It's really desperately needed by parents, and nobody is doing it. So, if not me, then who's going to do that? And that's kind of where it all started. But
you hit the nail on the head with everything being mobile friendly, because that's where you're running your life from with a new baby, because you're stuck in a chair or on a sofa or a bed, or kind of creeping around, hoping that your baby might nap at some point this year, and you're ordering your online shopping, or you're checking the news. Everything is sort of from that point, so it really has to work. Did you know what sort of process to follow? Because I guess reinventing technology may be overwhelming to some people. So I guess, how did you connect with that vision and know that this was the right thing, and even though you'd done something different, that you would be able to do it? How did you back yourself?
So I didn't know. When I first started, I literally knew nothing. I was sort of, I didn't know about a URL being different from website hosting, for example. So I was literally starting from scratch, and but I sort of just did a bit of research, started asking around a little bit, and I applied for Google Campus for Mums, which I don't run anymore, sadly. But at the time, they were doing it was kind of a pre-accelerator program to help parents that had great scalable ideas to take their first steps in starting those businesses, and you could bring a baby along up to the age of 18 months.
Oh, happy days.
Yeah, so that's where my journey really started. I applied for it sort of frantically, with being very pregnant, and then literally the day my son was born, I got an email saying that I'd been accepted.
Wow.
To the program, and please could I prepare a presentation, and
sure.
By the way, in 10 days time. So
oh wow.
Wow. So yeah, that's kind of where it started. I was like, breastfeeding this newborn baby and typing up a presentation with the other hand, and then sort of took myself along to Google Campus 10 days later to present my idea, and then just started taking steps from there, really. But it did take a very long time, because after that course finished, there was a new kind of startup program, if you like, which was being run by June Angelides, and it was called Mums in Tech, and the idea was to introduce new mums and dads into the world of technology and to start teaching them how to code. So I sort of went from one program to another program, and then whilst I was on Mums in Tech, I discovered that there's actually coding boot camps, which are quite new at that time, but now they've really taken off. But this concept of a coding boot camp where you could literally go to the boot camp and in 12 weeks you would be trained as a developer.
Wow.
And you could actually do stuff. So I found out about this program because Mums in Tech held an event at Makers Academy, which is one of these boot camps, and they told me that the next cohort was due to start, I can't remember, I think it was maybe like 2 weeks' time or something like that, which happened to coincide with my husband's shared parental leave.
So on the one hand, there was some sort of like, we've got this, like, you just keep showing up. It was, the dates were sort of aligning, but I guess because also, coding wasn't a thing for us. Even when I was at school, there was no internet. That there were computers, but you could only like book them for 5 minutes a week in the library, and then the person who was running the library didn't know how to turn it on, and there would be all kinds of things. Did you feel scared at all, sort of going into a new area, or was it quite comforting just being under that leadership of a 12-week course?
I was really excited, actually. So what I remembered, and it's one of these things that you push to the back of your memories, isn't it? But I remembered that when I was, I don't know, I must have been about 14 or something, I built one of those what you see is what you get type websites.
Yes.
I think it was like on GeoCities or something. And I'd built this Backstreet Boys fan page.
Amazing. I bet it was popular as well.
And that was the extent of my sort of experience with coding. But yeah, basically, because I'd gone on this course with Bring Your Baby Along sort of coding course, and I'd gone, oh, actually, like coding, it's not such a big mysterious thing. I have dabbled with it previously. I can totally do this. I can learn it. And then finding out about this boot camp where they were literally saying you don't need to have had any experience whatsoever. You just need to be willing to learn. It was just amazing. As this whole new world opened up, and I was going, what an incredible opportunity! The stars are aligning. Like, my husband has literally got, well, I think he had 10 weeks off, but the course was 12 weeks long, and I was like, this is just too perfect. It was just such an incredible opportunity to go and be able to do that course. And I mean, when I found out about it, I did have to have quite a long conversation with my husband, because he'd thought he was going to have a really nice shared parental leave, seeing as I'd been made redundant, and he was going to be able to put his feet up.
Yes.
It was like,
because that's what you can do with a new baby.
And I was like, well, actually, I found out about this course. I'm quite interested in doing it. You are going to have to look after I think, she was kind of, I think she was 3 by then. I can't even remember the date. But, you're going to have to look after our young child and wean our son.
Wowzers.
Cannot cook at all. And I was really, really scared for him. And I almost, I was trying to give myself an excuse not to do the course, because I was going, I'm too worried. I don't know if you'll be okay with like managing the children. Like, you don't know what you're letting yourself in for here. And he was so super supportive. He was just like, you've got to go for this. Like, opportunities like this don't come along that are just so perfectly aligned. And I could see at the time, I mean, so much was happening in tech, that it felt like whatever happens, whether or not I carry on and start this business, whatever happens, I'm going to have these amazing skills to start whatever I want to start or to get into.
Yes.
I'm going to be qualified as a junior developer. I mean, people leave that course and they basically walk into a new job at 30-something K as a starting salary with like less than 3 months training. I mean, it's crazy. So, it just seemed like a sensible thing to do at the time.
Absolutely. And you're right about that transferable skills. Is sometimes I think when I speak to coaching clients is that they want to know all of the solutions and all of where the roads lead, and actually you don't necessarily know, because maybe where you're going to end up hasn't even been invented yet. Like, things are moving so quickly digitally that actually you have to your only job, I guess, is just to stay open-minded and keep curious, and also being really great at what you do is a huge bonus as well.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely felt there's so many opportunities in the field, and there's not enough women in it. So and we bring a different perspective to things. So actually, there's a really big opportunity for us as women to move into tech and to be doing more in that area, because we see things differently.
Absolutely. And sometimes you go on websites and you think, who has designed this? It's so clunky. Where am I going? There's no logic to it, and everything just feels a bit higgledy-piggledy. And it does, it puts you off that experience of hanging out there. So once you had the coding under your belt, what did you do then?
I started building a website.
Yeah.
Literally, I was building it. My parents, so my husband went back to work. My parents would come to my house kind of 2 days a week, and I would spend that time building the site. And that's basically how it all got started. I mean, in the meanwhile, I had set up the social media profiles. I actually started off by running just a landing page, asking people if they were interested to sign up. And I ran a Google Sheet. So to begin with, it was just a Google Sheet. But that was getting some quite serious traffic, even though it was literally, one postcode on a Google Sheet.
Wow.
So that's why I knew, there's such a big need here. And, the reason it hasn't been built before is literally because all the people who've had the ideas have been people like me with no tech background who could only start a WordPress site.
Yes.
So, that's where I could see that actually there was a real need for a proper technical solution, and that it was more than using a site with plugins. There's so much you can do with it that it needed to be a bespoke, built from scratch website.
Yeah.
And actually put together deliberately for the under 5 segment. Because the needs are different when you're looking for things to do with the baby, and your motivations are different, and the way that you want to search is different.
Totally. Is the idea that you had initially the idea that you ended up building? Is it the same vision?
Pretty much. We haven't got all the way to my vision yet. For me, I still feel like we're right at the beginning. There's just so much more that I want to do with it. But it is pretty much, as I envisioned, in the sense of, I've been through that experience of being a new parent, and I knew how desperate it can feel when you are alone with a small baby.
Yeah, the days are long.
The days are so long. And so, I've always been very focused around that, because, I mean, there was a time when I was building the site, and I also got accepted onto an accelerator later and got some funding for it. But, there was a question from mentors saying, well, the activity market's really big. Could you extend it? Could you go for older age ranges, etc., etc.? And I just said, well, but that's not the need that I see.
Yes.
That's a different problem you're trying to solve. And yeah, maybe it's a bigger market, maybe it make more money, but that's not the thing that I'm passionate about, and that I know is what people really need.
And also, that's such a logistical angle that you're going to have to work through to be able to get things off the ground. And I hear it with clients sometimes. They're like, right, I've got to build 4 new courses before I can launch the first one. And it's like, actually just launch the first, get feedback, hear what people are doing, get the testimonials, allow people to get results, support them as much as you can, and then move forward. Because quite often there's no such thing as an overnight success, and very rarely do people nail it immediately. There's lots of work behind the scenes, but again, nobody talks about it. And this is one reason I really wanted to speak to you, because sometimes I go to these entrepreneurial talks and people have been in business for 30 years or something, and they actually can't remember what these early years are like. And we'll say sort of very, I mean, I know they're probably very foggy headed and tired, but they'll say these sort of blanket statements of like, just keep going, or just keep thinking positively, or do something that scares you. And actually, quite often you want the process. You want somebody to go, you do this, and then you do this, and if you meet this, ignore it, move on, and give you quite sort of tangible advice.
I mean, it's such a journey. I mean, and personally, it has been very much a case of just keep going.
Yeah.
It's try one thing, then move on to the next thing, then move on to the next thing, and it's it so easily can be overwhelming. There's so much to learn, so much to be done, and you were just initially you are just one person.
Yes. Yes. So how did you know what to focus on? How did you know what was going to be a great use of your time or efforts, or what, I guess, were going to be the really great fertilizer for the elements of the business? Because again, people might just say, just go and network or put yourself out there, and sometimes you can go to things and you're like, why am I here? These are not my people. I don't know what I'm doing with my life.
I think, I am quite naturally analytical. So my background was that I was originally in strategy consulting, and so I am able to do a bit of stepping back a bit and looking at the bigger picture. So, I mean, because there was definitely a time where I was a little bit all over the place. I was very tired. I had a newborn baby.
Yeah.
What I was doing, and it's very easy to sort of get sucked into doing this, that, and the other, and you have to look at your overall business and say, okay, well, what is the one most important thing that I can do and that I can focus my efforts on that's actually going to move us forwards?
Yes.
So there was a point where I said, I sort of had to go, oh, hold on a moment. I need to not be doing loads on social media. I need to not be doing any kind of PR and marketing, because we just need to get the product right.
Yes.
And just so literally, because you are only one person and you can only do so much, you have to look at the bigger picture and say, well, what is the most important thing? Just do that first, and then you can move on. So which for me was, well, look, I'll start. When I started, it was showing a bit that there was a real idea that there was traction, there was a demand for it. Building the very first simple version and showing that people wanted to use it. And from there, I was able to secure some funding and get onto this accelerator program. But then from there onwards, it's like, then it was starting to monetize it. And now we're on we need to market it lots, because we know we have something that works. We just need more people to know about it.
Yes.
But if you do that in the wrong order, it just doesn't really work as a business.
No. Well, I often liken it to the analogy of sometimes you just need to start opening the shop and painting the shop front. So people come in, they check, they connect with the brand, and because I think sometimes as business owners, you can get caught in the behind the scenes stuff too much, as in polishing the shelves. And actually, you need to say, in a few weeks or right now, these are available to buy. And if you like this experience, here's how you pay me. And I think so often people can get caught up in that free work or living life as a entrepreneur, but actually not making the money or not making the strides that they want to make.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guilty of that, because I'm more interested in product naturally, and I've always shied away a little bit when it comes to the sales side. But actually now, we've got such a great product, and I have such high confidence in it, and we have amazing feedback from our customers that I can feel okay with doing.
That's brilliant, though.
Because it's about wanting to be able to help people, and when you've got something that's of great value to offer people, it just makes that whole thing so much easier and so much more natural.
Absolutely. And I did a post about this the other day, about how whatever it is that I'm selling or I'm promoting or communicating, I have to have that very sort of deep connection with it where it actually feels good, because if it doesn't, I almost feel like it's just written all over my face and it's just a bit of a waste of time. People can feel it and people are just like, why is she doing that? It doesn't make any sense. People can see right through it. So what happened then once it was built, once you knew that it was working? How did you start to build that traction and expand?
I mean, it's been a long process, to be fair, but you know, when we first launched the site, we were literally just in 4 postcodes around my hometown, and I'd built up a bit of following before launching it, but you know, we did quite well out of just general word of mouth, did a bit of physical leafleting, all of those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And sort of built it from there on out. And nowadays we are really highly ranked on Google. So we get huge amounts of organic traffic. But we also get people telling each other about us. So, you know, we get a lot of class providers registering with us because a customer told them, or another class provider told them, because they're really friendly and lovely and they talk to each other and support each other. And so yeah, really, it's almost entirely been organic, to be honest. And you know, now I'm trying to do more on social media, look for more partnerships. We had a partnership with Mothercare, did some events with them as well, and so we did. We did their 5 biggest London stores around Christmas and did a special event for them then. So yeah, just doing more partnerships now, getting it out more into the communities, just trying to be more visible all around, really.
And how have you managed to, because I'm sure along the way we all have, even if we're confident in our ideas, sometimes we have those bad days where imposter syndrome might come out to play, or a lack of confidence, or just those days where you're like, oh, this feels really hard. What have been in your bag of tricks to kind of keep calm and carry on?
That's a really hard one, actually. What keeps me going on? I don't know. I suppose because so much of it has been driven from personal experience and wanting to achieve a particular mission, that it's very hard to give up on that.
Yes.
And because I still feel we are still so early compared to what my long-term vision is, I've got a lot. I just feel like we've still got a lot to prove. I think particularly because we're operating in a tech sector where maybe there aren't so many women, and you know, we've had to face some challenges around that I don't want to say, oh no, I can't do it. I've basically got a bit of a point to prove.
Yes, but I think that's great, because you have to have that bigger mission as your business progresses, because quite often if you focus, you can tick off some of those milestones, not quickly necessarily, but you know, you can start to make real progress. And after a while you think, gosh, if I'm going to do this full time, I've really got to connect with this. I've really got to be excited about it. And for me, it goes again back to that feeling process, that I always want to feel good in what I'm doing. Not that I'm just kind of showing up and going, oh, hi, yeah, whatever, and going through the motions. I want to make sure that I'm present and there and all that good stuff, really.
Yeah. And I think because quite early on I decided that I was going to run my team flexibly and I was going to run it remotely. You know, partly because I'd done the whole commuting thing after and trying to work part-time in an office environment, and I found it a nightmare. I found that the commute was sucking a lot out of me, and that it just felt like a waste of time compared to the time I could be spending with my children or being more productive. And yeah, so particularly having had the experience training to be a developer and seeing how the tech world was operating, I just thought, geez, there's so much of my old job where I used to sit at a desk, but how much of that time was actually needing to be there in person?
Yes.
I did so much of my work via email anyway. People at the BBC are all in different buildings, and even if they're in the same, like I was in not TV Centre, I was in the big building where the news centre is now.
Yes.
But, people would be on the first floor and I'd be on the 8th floor, and I would still end up emailing them.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not going to kind of run up and go, "Hi guys, I just wanted to share something with you." Yeah, email is the point of communication, isn't it?
You email them or you pick up the phone. So, there were very few things that really had to be done in person. And so I just realised that actually, with all the tech tools that are available to us now, there was no good reason to have an office when I could see there were so many women out there like me who have a lot of talent and can't find the jobs that they can do around their children. So I just saw it as a huge enabler for the business to be able to work in this way, and to be able to recruit people from anywhere in the country or even abroad, and that would be more beneficial and more forward-looking for the company than to get an office in Shoreditch and be in the tech hub with all the other young techies.
Yes, absolutely. And just sometimes all of that is really showy, and people, I have friends who work for organisations, which I won't say, and they're like, "Oh, it's amazing, you get a free lunch or you do this," but actually there's zero flexibility, or they have to work a 5-day week, otherwise it just kind of doesn't count. And we're all trying to create our own blend of business and life as well, and sometimes we need a bit of wiggle room in doing that. And I'm sure when people sort of read your job description, they were like, "Yes, this is the woman I've been waiting for." I was going to say, how did you know how to build your team, and what did you focus on first, and what's been an important part of that process that you could share?
Well, certainly people who really buy into the mission that we're setting out to achieve, people who really get that and want to be part of it, is more important than anything else.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, certainly, when I first started recruiting, I was getting, just these most incredible candidates, and I think it's just, for me, because particularly where you're working remotely, you need to find people who are committed and can self-manage.
Yes.
Who are, really want to work, because I have to be able to trust that they are doing the work when I, I'm
not just watching loose women. Yeah.
Your shoulder. But I think because of the way we work, there isn't really anywhere to hide. And even though you're working from home, there isn't anywhere to hide because you've got a limited number of hours that you're committed to working. So you have to do the work in that time, or it's just not going to be done. So, and that hasn't been hard to find people who, really, really do want to work and just haven't been able to find the right roles. I mean, I felt like I was in that situation when I was facing redundancy and working out what I was going to do next. I did start looking around going, okay, well, what is out there for people who want some flexibility? And it was very hard to find anything that felt like it was going to be a really, rewarding, interesting, challenging role, while still having some of that flexibility. So, I could see that there was a real gap there. And it was just borne out. Whenever I've recruited, I've just had fantastic candidates.
That's brilliant. And is there any technology that you use as a team that kind of keeps you all on the same path, that communicates well, and that you always you're shortcutting the process, so you're not always going, "Oh, did you see that email? Oh yeah, I've covered it. Oh, who's replying to that?" How do you how do you run your business sort of behind the scenes that's been useful?
So we use Slack for the day-to-day, but that's set up with a lot of reminders and a lot of integrations. So like it gives us reports on some statistics around the website. It just does that automatically.
Ooh.
Yeah, it does. It gives us a daily reminder and says, "Hey everybody, what are you working on today? What's the one thing?"
But you're going to say, "What are you wearing today?" I was like, Slack. That seems very intimate.
No, but it's one of those things. In terms of productivity is something that I've been very interested in learning more about and sort of seeing how you can work more efficiently.
Yes.
So, you know, so I love this idea of saying, well, what's the one thing you want to have achieved this year? What's the one thing you want to have achieved this quarter, this month, this week, this day?
Yes.
So, you know, I really like that kind of structure that says, you know, push out, you know, because your to-do list is always massive.
Yeah.
And so just look down that list and just go, out of all of this list, there is going to be one thing that is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And so forcing yourself to do that and practice that, I think, can move you forward very quickly, because it stops you getting distracted doing all the rubbish.
Yes. Yeah, because you can chip away at stuff all day and then get to the end of it and go, oh, hang on a minute, I haven't emailed that person still, or that person is waiting for this from me. And yeah, you're right. You have to be moving the needle each and every day, because that's how you get that momentum in your business and how you move forward. What helps you in terms of setting yourself up for the day?
What do I do? Well, so I do the school runs in the morning. That doesn't really help me set up for the day.
People always say that they're really lovely times. I'm like, I never find it that relaxing at all.
So, I mean, I try to, as much as possible, I try and get up early and do some time before the kids wake up.
Yes.
And before I have to get into the school run, because it just gives you that bit of extra sort of planning time, so that when your day starts, you can get straight into it. But yeah, I mean, earlier on, particularly when I was on the accelerator program as well, and it was all quite full on, I was really like, oh, I've got to work in every spare minute of the day.
Yes.
What I quite quickly realised was that no, what you need is space.
Yes. Yes.
You know, actually, the coding course was really good at this, because the coding course was very intense, because they're training you in 12 weeks. They had daily meditation, and they helped you to establish a daily meditation practice. So that's something that I've been able to carry over and sort of say, well, actually, what I need to do when I come home from the school run is give myself half an hour, like tidy everything up, get my things in order, give myself some time to actually meditate and have space before I then go on to start working. And actually, it's really important to have that, because otherwise you always feel slightly on the back foot. So that's pretty much how I set myself up for the day.
No, I think it's really great. It's really valid, and you're right about that reflective time, because my great ideas rarely come when I'm sitting purposely at my computer going, right, I've got to think of a really great idea. You know, they come when I'm out and about, or I'm running, or I'm just doing something completely unrelated to my business. But one thing that I've done is I've set up a designated notebook on my Evernote, so I can capture those ideas as and when they come in, so I don't miss them, but also I can still stay present with whatever it is that I'm doing. If people want to come and find out more about you and what you're doing and sign up, where should they go?
Sign up. So, I mean, most of our social media is really on Facebook. So facebook.com/HappityBaby. And you can sign up to our newsletter from there, and you can get a personalised newsletter to your inbox with things that are on in your area.
Fantastic.
And me personally, I'm on Instagram as Happity Mama. So that's more of a like posting about my life.
Nice.
Behind the scenes in the business, what's going on, that sort of thing. I'm on Instagram. And then the main website is happity.co.uk.
Brilliant. And who would you say is your perfect ideal customer, so people can kind of recognise themselves?
So certainly, you know, we're really designed for parents of under 5s, particularly I'd say under 2s. There's a lot on the site for those people. And then for class providers, it's any class provider that wants more people to find them. And also if they need a booking system, because our booking system is one of the most, if not the most affordable on the market. And it's completely designed for under 5s, so you know it sort of addresses a lot of shortcomings from other booking systems that are out there. So yeah, anything to do with under five, classes for under fives, that's us.
Amazing. Well, I will be looking out to bring my little ones, plural, very soon, to a class soon. That sounds fantastic. But thank you so much for being such a brilliant guest. And if you've been listening to this and you want to find out more, or if you've had any moments where you want to know more about, I guess, kind of being in tech as a parent, then tag Sarah and I in your stories or get in touch with us and we can answer any questions. I'm saying I can answer any questions like I'm some sort of expert in tech. I make a podcast, but that's about it. But Sarah knows loads of things.
I love hearing from people who are starting out on this journey, because I think it is, it is quite a rare position to be in, really. So I really welcome people getting in touch with me, and always happy to have a chat and try and help wherever I can.
Amazing.
So yeah, I've absolutely loved being on your podcast, Nicky. I love it.
Oh, thank you. And do you know what I have to say? As females, I absolutely love connecting people with, like a friend of mine is going for an investment at the moment, and she was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do that. I was like, you should speak to my friend, and then kind of did an introduction email. And it's so nice if we can help each other and shortcut the process for people.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly powerful, and it's one of the things that has, on the one hand, it's harder for us to have that in tech, where we don't necessarily have a network of investors and other startups in that arena.
Yeah.
But actually, for us as women in our communities, and in terms of the services that we're offering and the people we want to collaborate with, I think network and being able to help each other is so incredibly powerful.
It really is. It really is. And I always feel like I'm doing other people a disservice if I know something that I know that they need to know. So, don't ever feel that you can't share it just in case somebody, I don't know, nicks your idea or does something similar. I feel like a rising tide raises all boats, or I can't remember what the phrase is, but something like that. Get in a boat or get on the ocean. Let's have a lovely time. Amazing. Thank you so much. And all the details are in the show notes as well. So do check those out too.
Okay. Thanks, Nicky.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I really hope you got something from it. And if you did and would like to share, feel free to tag me across social media at Nicky Raby, or you can email hello@nickyraby.com. You can also go to my website, nickyraby.com, to find out more about how I can support you, sessions, courses, prices, availability, etc. Oh, and there's loads of freebies to get you started. Another episode will be with you shortly, but in the meantime, do rate, review, and subscribe. And I will see you soon. Bye.